This is not Tommy T, but is who will be beating every single other racer out here in Lakeshore. We're tasked with beating the entire campaign in Need for Speed Unbound without ever changing car and whilst being on the hardest difficulty in the game. As soon as we jump in, we get the choice from being able to pick one of these 3 different junkers, and here is effectively where we get to choose our car. With such a limited pool of choice, I feel like the decision is pretty obvious. Don't get me wrong, that Sylvia looks nice and that Charger looks cool, but we have to go with that Countach. I'll throw up the beginning stats for each car for reference, and as we can see there are some minor differences, but they don't end up being all too different. And with that, let's get racing. It's revealed that we spent all summer restoring the Lamborghini, and now that we can drive it, we make the most of the opportunity. We start our first race and dominate the competition. After our first race, we take our ride back to Rydell, the guy who gave us the junker in the first place, and take it back to his garage, Rydell's Rides, which is going to be our base of operations. Damn, they got the Drake drip for real. The way the races work within this game is that you convene at a meetup spot and then select a certain race to do at that meetup, with different meetups having different races available. That is exactly where we're on our way to right now, our first meetup. And once we get there, we enter into the only race available and win it. And that was all we had to do today. So we went back to the garage and got introduced to the night races in the game. These meetups I previously mentioned don't only just have races for the day, but also for during the night. We run our first night race and return back to the meetup in first place, increasing our heat level in the process. The day and night cycles are treated as one entire day split into 2 parts, and for every race you complete, that contributes more heat to your heat level, so the more racing you do in a day, the more the cops have their eyes on you at the night. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with all too terrifying cops just yet, but later down the road, they definitely amp up their forces.
Can you pick up a buddy of mine? He's got some heat on him, needs some fast wheels.
Real quick, we pick up Rudiger and help him avoid some heat, whilst Yaz and Rydell have a little bit of a misunderstanding. After completing another race, we make our way back to the safe house, where a customer of Rydell's ends up leaving his body kit behind, and coincidentally, it just ends up being able to fit our Lamborghini Countach. Rydell tells us it's all ours, so we fix up the Countach and make it look ready for an upcoming race we have planned. After testing out the kit in a couple street races, the next day approaches and the race night is upon us. We find no difficulty in winning the race, and straight afterwards we get a call for another gig, a transport job. After picking up the car necessary to get transported, we drive it off to the drop-off spot, but realise there's no one there waiting for us. We try and call Yaz, but she don't pick up. We get a notification that there's an intruder in the garage, and bomb our way down there. Not my Countach, man, please.
What the hell?
As it seems to me, he has set us up. 2 years pass with a little commotion. After doing a random job for Rydell's Rides, we get word of the racing scene striking back up, and a customer lets us know that the location of a new meetup is close by. Where?
That's my car.
We get word that the next qualifier is in 7 days, and let Rydell know about the situation. We make plans to throw down with the competition.
How about I make an investment in this garage, rep you in the race, maybe open some doors.
Deal?
Deal.
With the cash we've earned so far, we make an investment into what is actually going to be our first car. Therefore here is where the most important decision of the entire run is made, like 4 minutes into the video. Because of the amount of money we have, being $37,750, we have quite the variety of options available to us, involving the likes of a Beetle, a Fairlady, a BRZ, an old MX-5, a Mustang, a Pontiac Firebird, a Mustang Boss, a Civic, a Crown Vic, a new MX-5, and an Eclipse. To switch it up from last time, we're not going to go with anything European, meaning that the Beetle and the Crown Vic are gone. And standing by what I've said previously, no muscle cars this time either, maybe in the future. But that leaves us with the Eclipse, the MX-5s, the Fairlady, the Civic, and the BRZ. To really make sure we make the right decision, let's take a look at the stats. Straight away we can see that the Eclipse and the Civic seem to be much better options than the ones available. So I stuck with that reasoning and rolled everything else out. Tell me, out of these two, which one would you have picked? Me? I ended up going with the Eclipse. Both of these cars are absolutely iconic, and there's no denying VTEC, but I absolutely love the Eclipse, so there's no way I was going against it. Damn, they got the Maybach? Sheesh. Just before getting back out, we're introduced to this screen, which has the upcoming week set out for us. As you can see, on Saturday there's a qualifier that was previously mentioned, and to be able to enter it we need to upgrade this car to tier A, where we're currently sitting at tier B. And over to the left, the requirements for the Grand. The final race in the story, and as it implies, we'll need a different car for each of the categories seen before you, being A, A+, S and S+. However, do remember, we are only allowed to use this car. Luckily, I have a plan in mind. The first week felt like 3. We got introduced to multiple new race types, such as takeovers, but also delivery jobs, available at both day and night. These delivery jobs, however, require us to enter into another car. And remember, since we're unable to switch, we won't be doing any of...
Yo! You down to take a Bugatti out?
Okay, maybe I'll allow a few. Maybe just a few. But other than those, I also ran into a game-breaking glitch, one I'm sure many of you also ran into. Recently, Need for Speed Unbound had its Volume 7 update, introducing a plethora of different things for us Unbound players to enjoy. But alongside this, it also did this. Notice anything different? I was unfortunately hit with the no HUD glitch. Why? I have no idea. But it definitely put a damper on being able to progress to our qualifier. Despite it, I didn't let it stop me. I persisted and entered into races to continue through the week, albeit at what seems like a weirdly leisurely pace. But with the hardest challenge behind us, we continued on to Saturday night and our first qualifier, where we see our car.
Hey, Speedy, check it. Looks like Yaz is throwing down tonight.
The qualifiers work as 3 different races back to back. You got to place in the top 6 to qualify the first race, then the top 3 with the winner taking everything in the last race. I made sure to upgrade my car to the very top of A class, making the competition really no competition at all for us, coming in first all 3 races. And after the fact, we have a run-in with Jazz.
Hey, yo, Yaz! What's up? Long time. Yo, is that my car?
She tells us that if we want our car back, the qualifiers are not the place to do it. The Grand is. And so, for the next 3 weeks, we're going to need to make sure that we elevate to the highest level possible to be able to take home the grand prize. Over the course of the next 2 weeks, I was able to complete all of the safe house rescue jobs, unlocking safe houses all over the city for us and making escaping the cops with heavy heat much easier. Not only that, I also made sure to continue to upgrade my car continuously to accommodate the higher and higher qualifier requirements, getting our car all the way from B to S+ for the grand. But before we get to that, let's address the other 2 qualifiers first. For our second qualifier, you know I had to apply some drip to the whip, and because of that, the competition obviously stood no chance. For completing these qualifiers, in addition to select races throughout the month, we get rewarded with actual cars, which, whilst nice, I sold every single one as soon as I got back to the garage. We don't want to deal with no other cars. Straight away, after the qualifier, I upgraded my car to S-Class, and this was around about the time I upgraded the garage to its maximum level. This is important for one very crucial reason. The garage, at the start of the story, begins at this level, and each upgrade upgrades the availability of parts which you can put into your cars. Therefore, since we just upgraded to the final tier, this allows us to be able to purchase the highest quality parts in the game. The third week, thankfully, ended up being much more tame than our previous one. Other than this goofy old gold Range Rover, the third week allowed us to stack some heavy cash in preparation for the grand, and of course, our third qualifier. In addition to that, towards the end of the week, we also met up with Mr. ASAP, Mr. Always Strive and Prosper, Mr.
Pistol Popper, Blocko locked and loaded.
And to tell the truth, he was spitting some wisdom, but for the facts of the video, bro did not stop yelling.
Our circumstances.
Just before our third and final qualifier, I decided to switch up the drip because we've been wearing these clothes for way too long. And now since we've got money, it's time for some Versace. With an S-Class car, the competition was much more menacing, but that didn't stop our Eclipse from outclassing it. We get through the third qualifier with little difficulty and move on to our 4th week. Without any notice, the Jazz shows up to the shop and speaks on what happened 2 years ago, saying she had no part in it and that what happened was yes, her fault, but also a big misunderstanding.
Listen, I wasn't part of what happened here 2 years ago. I just bragged to Alec about where I worked. Well?
If that's true, then why did you ghost with our car? You had 2 years to make it right.
We're still wary of Jasmine's intentions, but we also know that there's more to this story. Tess, the girl who's getting us all of these delivery jobs, seems to be acting more sketchy by the day. One final important thing we had to finish up just before the grand was this one delivery job in particular, which we got the tip from Jasmine.
From someone calling themselves the Blacklist.
This wasn't no ordinary delivery job, as I'm sure you'll know from this thing. Tensions were high going into the Grand. Skepticism that our number 2 this whole time, Tess, was actually working for the one in charge of this whole thing, Alec, who we do not love.
Alex, pissed. Like, really pissed. He's so pissed, he just handed me a blank check. Wants to make sure you don't win.
But also remember, this was our opportunity to beat Jazz and get our car back, but for some reason, this really felt like a make or break moment. I'm sure you'll remember from earlier, this Grand requires 4 different cars of 4 different classes. A+, S, and S+, to be used in 4 different races. But we're only allowed this Eclipse. I'm sure you figured out what we had to do.
Are you right now? Man.
4 different Eclipses, 4 different classes of car, all for 1 race with $1 million prize pool.
Sis got blah boy, sis got blah boy. Sis got blah boy, sis got blah boy. Yeah. 901 Shelby Drive, look alive, look alive. Niggas came up on this side, now they on the other side. Oh well, fuck them, dawg. We gon' see how hard they ride. I get racks to go outside, and I split it with the guys. We up on the other side, niggas acting like we tied. I been gone since like July, niggas acting like I died. They won't be expecting shit when Capo go to slide, cause I told them that we put that shit behind us, but I lied. Hey, hey, look who I'm around, man. If I fucked up, I'ma be downtown, man. Full flow bound, man. That's if I get caught, man. Push me to the
To conclude, we race Jazz back to the garage in our car and continue on as the champions of the Lake Show.
Drop and give me 50.